What's going on, everybody? It's Tom.
And it's Jamie. Welcome to the Chronicles of Podcast.
The Chronicles of 2000 Trees 2024.
My name is Frank Turner and I'm a singer and a songwriter.
And it's an absolute pleasure to once again have you on the show, so thank you for joining us this morning. I know it's early, like we said, so how are you doing? I know you've just woken up, but...
Yeah, just woken up. I mean, this is sort of the first day of the tour, but I mean, we were on tour in America until about 5 minutes ago, and I did a show on Thursday, so I'm in the swing of things, let's put it that way.
Yeah?
But I love 2000 Trees. I'm very pleased to be here, so happy days.
Yeah, looking forward to later.
Very much so. Yeah, main stage. I've got 2 other shows today as well.
Of course, you've got the Mark and Me podcast.
Yes, and then maybe another one.
Oh!
We love a team.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe. I mean, it's coming out afterwards, but still.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, fine.
This
I'm
is
playing a secret set.
Okay.
They named one of the campsites after me, so
they did.
So I have to play there. They have a stage.
Yeah, Camp Turner, I think it's called, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So it would be remiss of me not to go.
I love that. That's incredible. To just rock up and people would probably piss themselves, but what the fuck's Frank Turner doing?
Yeah, it'll be fun. The other thing is that I have my 3000 show coming up, which means I have to play a certain number of shows between now and then, and I'm a few under at the minute. So
okay.
Throwing in some extras.
Just get him in where you can. Stop.
Yeah, I mean, in early February next year, I am basically going to be pitching up at pubs and going, hi, just to sort of try and get my numbers up.
So, Frank, you're in a Greg's in Woking. Yep. Get the
Yeah,
guitar up. Let's go.
Love it. Never played a Greg's yet.
Oh, it's got to be. I don't think anyone has. Got to do it just for shits and gigs.
The world to do a tour of Greg's. Fuck. There we go.
Look,
I'll tell you what, my production manager Doug would lose his mind if I did it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's. Doug doesn't have any tattoos. If he did, he'd have a Greg's tattoo.
Wow. What's the go-to?
For me or for him?
For you.
For me, sausage roll.
Oh, okay, just classic, basically.
Classic sausage roll.
Love it. Yeah. Absolutely love it.
Solid.
You did the Guinness World Records for trying to play as many shows in 24 hours. How the fuck was that?
Nightmarish and awful. And I mean, we did it. It's worth saying that Guinness wanted £37,000 to
Sorry, what?
To sign it off, and it was like, you're the ones with the corporate sponsorship, dude. So it's not as yet certified by Guinness. We did all the documentation, we followed their rules, all the rest of it. But I mean, it cost me quite a lot of money to do. I didn't get paid for it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, from some angles, the purpose of the exercise was directing my album marketing budget to hiring small venues. If you see what I mean.
Yes.
So happy days, everybody wins. But and it's important to state for the record that I don't care. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's. Well, there was somebody saying, "Oh, it's just a stunt," and it's like, it's obviously a stunt. Of course it is. What else do you think it is? And like, but you know, it garnered attention for my new record. It helped out some indie venues. It helped out some indie record stores as well. And those were the things I was trying to do. So everybody wins. But like I say, the actual physical process of doing it was awful. We did midday to midday. The 6 a.m. show was the ditch.
Is that the wall that hit the wall?
Well, no, it's more. So basically, up to and including the 4 a.m. show, everyone was having a laugh. They were having beers, they were drinking, they were on a sesh.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the sun came up at about 5:30, which I had thought might be reinvigorating, but absolutely wasn't. It was just like, why is this still happening? And then we got down to Kingston, and my friends at Banker Records, who I love dearly. It's also quite difficult to book a show at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But they sorted it out, but everybody at that show had just got out of bed and was like their alarm had gone off at 5:30, and they're like holding a coffee, and the energy level of the crowd just absolutely plummeted at the precise moment when I needed it to do the opposite. And that's no disrespect to either Bank Records or anyone who came to that show, because I'm very grateful that they did. But you know, it's like, sing, and they're all like, do you know what I mean? It wasn't quite the sort of anthemic euphoric thing I wanted to
Long road up to recovery.
Yeah.
From here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'm going to be awake for another 18 hours.
Dude.
Yeah.
What did you do for a set list for this? Could you just play whatever you felt like?
I mixed it up a bit. I mean, it was, you know, these were technically, the new expression these days is out stores, as in, you know, booked by a record store but in a venue. But it's promoting the new record, so because I did a half-hour show at everyone, so I did like 7 songs or something, and did like 4 new ones, 3 old ones or whatever. But I was mixing it up a bit as I went.
Nice.
I imagine playing the same songs over and over again for 24 hours. You're like, I fucking hate this song now.
I mean, you know the words by the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I mean, it was cool. It was a good time. But the playing part of it was the good bit. Do you know what I mean? I'm fine once I'm playing. It's just sitting in a cab at like 8:15 on a Sunday morning and just being like, we were doing this 12 hours ago. In fact, 12 hours ago, we've been doing this for quite a long time already. And but I mean, so at the end of it, so we had this cab company called Free Now, who are great, and they organised the transport for the whole thing. We had this kind of relay of cabs, black cabs driving us around, which was really nice. And at the end, they'd offer me a lift home because we finished Southampton. I live in Essex, about a 3-hour drive. That cab ride, whew! I mean, PG. I've taken quite a lot of drugs in my time, but that was weird as hell. Like just sitting in the back of a cab, I felt jet lagged. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, and I was kind of just like, and you know, when you're on a long journey and like looking at Google Maps and we're looking at minutes going down.
Yeah, come on.
And it's like, I'm going to play a game on my phone, see how many. It's gone down 3 minutes. Like, and I got home and just felt like I was high. It was very weird.
Oh, you can swear if you'd like to. Don't worry, you don't have to bleep yourself.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, it was very strange. But we did it. We made it, and then I could barely talk. My voice was great for the whole thing, and then I got home. I went to sleep for about 12 hours, but from 6 p.m. till 6 a.m. and then woke up and was like, "What's happening to my life?" And then the next day, I sounded like beans on toast. Actually, I was like, couldn't really talk. So, but we did it! Hooray! And as I was referring to earlier, that was 15 more shows on my count towards 3,000.
Nice.
In one day.
I was going to say, because if you're doing the Greg's tour, we get to 5,000 by the time it's meant to be 3.
Yes, possibly. Possibly. That would be logistically challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, compared to a Frank Turner show, compared to a festival set, I know you've got a huge mix, back catalogue. Do you change your set list up accordingly to a festival show?
A little bit. I mean, first of all, because I'm doing 2 extra shows today, that's the place where I'm probably going to play the weird stuff, like the deep cuts and the B-sides and all that. They can have that. The main, I always think that festival shows are a bit like speed dating. Do you know what I mean? It's like everyone in the audience is singing a lot of bands that day, and it's like, maybe don't lead with the 8-minute experimental jam. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, we'll play some new stuff, we'll play some old stuff. I mean, as I say, we've just got back from the States, which was an amazing tour, and we're pretty finely tuned. Touchwood, he said, setting himself up for a fail. But yeah, no, it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Amazing. So us as a podcast, we're ambassadors for the Sophie Lancaster Foundation.
Right.
Are you familiar with Sophie and the story?
I have heard the name, but I would like you to remind me.
So basically, 2007, after a night out, Sophie and her boyfriend Rob were walking through a park, and they got attacked by 5 youths, and Sophie never woke up from the coma she was put in. Her boyfriend did, fortunately, but his life was never the same again. And this was all because of the way they were dressed, because they were goths.
I do know this story, of course I know this story.
No other rhyme or reason, literally the only reason. Yeah. So when we're talking to people this weekend, we're trying to find out, because you are obviously a big part of this alternative community we've got here. Have you ever had that where you've been treated differently because of stereotypes put upon you?
Oh yeah, I mean, yes. The Sophie Lancaster thing is kind of, I mean, it's awful and terrible, of course. It's also slightly a counter-example to what I'm about to say. But, like, I do feel like since I was a kid, people have got a bit more chill about that kind of thing. And indeed, looking back, like, you read stories about the 70s or whatever, you had green hair, you're going to get stabbed kind of thing. I grew up near Winchester, which was a barracks town at the time. And I remember going into town to try and sneak into pubs when I was 15 or whatever. And I had, like, a Rancid T-shirt, had some cheap bondage trousers I got from Camden Market, spiky hair, and possibly eyeliner as well, because it was the 90s. And I got the living piss beaten out of me several times. I mean, I do have some lasting damage from it. My teeth are all fucked. But never to the extent of what we were talking about with Sophie. But yeah, there was definitely a sense that, like, being part of an alternative community was something that you would physically manifest externally, and that could sometimes be challenging, could be dangerous. And then the flip side of that was that it meant that when you went to a gig at the Joiners Arms or Reading Festival or Camden Market or whatever, there was this incredible sense of community, because it was like a strength in numbers. I'm among my own people. I'm safe now. And, like, I mean, it's difficult for me to say how true that is for younger people now, because, newsflash, I'm not a younger person anymore. But, like, But that was incredibly powerful to me, and a lot of my kind of loyalty to alternative culture, punk rock, whatever words we want to put on this, is because of that. Is because I felt unsafe as a kid, and then I found a place where I felt safe. You know, I remember going to my first ever hardcore show. It was Agnostic Front at the Garage on the 8th of December 1997, and I was in the queue. I was wearing a Korn t-shirt, and then it was the 90s, and then all these guys, all the and girls and people, let's say people, sort of came out of the mist, as it were, because it was December, and it was like the Sick of It All t-shirt, there's a Lifetime t-shirt, there's a Youth Today t-shirt, do you know what I mean? And it was just like, oh, there's like a, well, this is such an abused and overused word, but there's a scene, do you know what I mean? And it was just like, and the thing about the hardcore scene in the 90s, it was tiny, and so the price of entry was finding out it existed. And if you found out it existed and showed up, then you were in. Do you know what I mean? You didn't have to be cool. You didn't have to be nerdily knowledgeable about bands particularly. I mean, a lot of people were, but like it was just like, you found us, welcome. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, oh my god. And it's like, this is so much better than everything else. So I do think that was very important to me as a kid. I think the internet has changed this a lot, you know what I mean? Because now you don't have to go to a record store necessarily, or a gig or whatever, to find people who like the same things as you, and I suspect that on balance that's a positive. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, you know, obviously 2007 you were saying, right? Yes. So, you know, that's comparatively recent. I mean, it's more recent than what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? And so clearly this is still a thing, and it's kind of horrendous.
It really is. But that's another thing we're asking this week, and you did kind of touch on it there. It's like now, like from when you were growing up and what happened in Sophie in 2007, do you think the world is safer for people in this community now, or still work to do?
I mean, probably still work to do. I do think that there is, like I say, it's easier to not be isolated in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like the internet is a form of communication. It can connect you with people all over the world, and that's a good thing. But you know, I mean, no one's going to sit here, presumably, and tell you that society's great and perfect, and we're all good. Everything's fine. Nothing to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's bullshit. I do think that, like, I mean, to pick another obvious and important example, you know, the internet, I think that the growth of the kind of trans rights movement has a lot to do with the internet, but that's because people who felt very isolated before were able to locate other people who are in the same situation as them and go, oh my god, it's not just me. And that's really powerful and really good. But of course, to go to what I was just saying just now, it's not like the trans rights thing's totally fine right now. Do you know what I mean? Jesus Christ. Like, so, you know, I think there is more work to do. There we go.
Absolutely. And I think what you're saying there is like people find their community. That's the positive of social media, because you can turn around and go, you're like me, let's be friends.
Yes, you can. The caveat, though, I would put in, and I think that the pandemic really highlighted this for me, is that virtual sociality is not ultimately a substitute for actual physical sociality. I think that human beings are communal animals, and I think it's really important to be physically in spaces with people who you feel safe with and who you connect with and all the rest. But it's just like, you know, I do think occasionally, well, I mean, it's a loaded term, but like you get into the world of kind of like just the very online and incels and all that kind of thing. It's just kind of like, you can't just live in your bedroom. Do you know what I mean? No. It's like, it's very bad for you. Yeah. Like you want to, it's totally cool and legit to meet people online sort of initially or whatever, but like, fucking hell, do a meetup.
Come to a place like this.
Well, exactly. And like, it's funny, I mentioned Reading Festival earlier, and with no disrespect to Reading, but I played 10 years in a row, which is the record, right? And it was sort of my festival growing up, and I loved it so much. It's changed a lot, which is fine, and that's what festivals do. But like, we played last year, and we were like the ghosts of Reading past. Like, and we were just like, hello, this is what Reading used to be like. None of you were born then. Do you know what I mean? And like, it was a weird vibe. And like, what I love, what's happened in the last 15, 20 years is that the independent festival scene has sort of taken up that baton. And you know, I fucking love 2000 Trees, and I feel at home. I got up this morning and walked down and ran into about 8,000 people I know, and there's photos of people I know, and it's just cool. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and you can just, your shoulders drop a bit. Do you know what I mean? And like, I love Glastonbury, and I was at Glastonbury recently, but Glastonbury's just too big in a way, like for what I'm talking about now. I mean, it has its own appeal and all the rest of it, but it's like, here it's just like, yep, we're all on the same page. This is our gang. Let's have a good weekend.
Absolutely. Before we let you get out of here, Frank, back in May you released your album Undefeated.
Yes.
we last spoke to you in February now, so this is way before the album was released. How has it been received? How's it gone down?
It's gone down very well. We got a number 1 in the independent charts, which is my first one of those. Number 3 in the main charts, number 1 in the independent charts. Who cares about the charts? Me, clearly, because I'm talking about it. So that was cool. I mean, I think the thing that's been nice about this record is that, like, I'm working with a new label, which I'm very, very pleased about. It's still with Extra Mile, but a new distribution setup. I'm going to say this diplomatically. With previous records, there was definitely a bit of a sense there was a big push on week 1, and then it was like, cool, go tour, no one fucking cares. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And there's been, first of all, from the kind of label side of things, a more sustained push on this record, which I'm very pleased about. But also, I mean, I'm the wrong person to ask about this in many ways, but it feels to me like there's more of a kind of word of mouth thing going on with this record. Like, as in quite a lot of people are sort of kind of going, you remember that fucking Frank Turner guy? Here is a new one. It's not bad, kind of thing. And like, you know, the American tour we just did was it's the most successful American tour I've done in probably about 8 years. So that was cool. Every single thing I have in the UK forever is sold out, which is nice.
Amazing.
Europe's doing well as well, and so is Australia and Canada and blah blah blah. So, you know, like, it definitely feels like I'm on a bit of an upswing at the minute, and I think a lot of that has to do with the records. And ultimately, to be old-fashioned for a second, like, you can spend ages talking about promotional campaigns and marketing and aesthetics and but at the end of the day, it just comes down to whether it's good songs or not. And I like to think that this is one of the better collections of songs that I've released into the world, and some people agree.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
What a pleasure. It's nice to see you guys. Oh, you're right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, man. Wicked. You got me. This is my first one of 8 today, so you caught me fresh. The 8th one's going to be miserable.